runs through downtown Berkeley. It's where the downtown Berkeley, the stop on the red BART line called Downtown Berkeley is on Shattuck. We'll pass it as we walk south towards Oakland. I guess let's just go towards Oakland now, and I'll try to go through Berkeley a little bit, and then maybe tomorrow or Monday. Monday is also going to be a company holiday, actually. We'll just do a walk down to the actual water. I don't think I'm going to make it to San Francisco on this trip, in part because it's a little bit of a trip. Although not so far. I could just hop on the BART, honestly be there in half an hour. But just because I never end up in this part of the Bay Area, and I want to explore this part of the Bay Area too. I feel like it's harder when you're in San Francisco to find the escape velocity to come to Berkeley or Oakland than it is when you're here. You know, it's easier to succumb to the gravity of San Francisco. Look at that, Saul's Delicatessen. They got some old school signage over here. They'll give you everything. They'll give you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Books, Inc. A little bookstore. Well, it's like medium. It's kind of a like a mall-sized bookstore. You know how they used to have malls in America? Inside these mall structures that would have many shops inside them, and then you would drive to this place that was located usually in the suburbs, a little bit out of the densest urban population areas, near, like, oftentimes the intersection of two major highways. Not always. Sometimes they were just more regional. They would just serve a specific suburban region. Anyway, you'd get in your minivan and you would drive to this mall, and there would be just a vast parking lot out front. Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of cars. You'd park your car and you'd walk towards the mall, and there'd be like several what were known as box stores, which was just called that because it was just a big box, usually pretty featureless. The facade is very simple, very plain, just a white box with the logo of the store on it. And it would be like Sears, Walmart, maybe Nordstrom, maybe Macy's, depending on how upscale or downscale your mall was. It might be like Marshall's if it was more of a budget mall. It might be Nordstrom if it was a little more upmarket. And then you'd go in and there would be just this indoor space that adjacent to these big box stores. The big box stores would be like the bookends of the overall complex, and then between the bookends of the box stores would be these indoor gallerias, often 2-3 stories, sometimes even 4 stories. You would ride up and down escalators to go up and down between the floors, and it's just there would be a big skylight, so there would be natural light coming in a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time there would be natural light coming in, and you'd be walking up and down, and there would be all these little stores, you know, just like a shopping street, but indoors. Like physical brick and mortar stores. So it's not like you'd go in and you'd pick up something that you'd ordered online. or you would like choose something to order, something like that. It was just actual physical objects that you would purchase on the spot, and you would take that specific object that you had just purchased and you would take it home with you in your car. And so it wasn't like getting 3D printed for you on the spot. It wasn't something that you say you're going to get delivered to your house later by drone. You actually ferry the object yourself from the store to your house. And if they didn't have the object at the store that you wanted, you might not even know that whether they had it or not, because, you know, in the 90s, especially before the World Wide Web, and before e-commerce, and before you could, all of these shops had digital storefronts, you would go to the store to find out what they even had. And then if you didn't see what they liked, maybe you might ask if they have something else. I don't know. I think they maybe would have some catalogs in them that they could show you where they had some other items that they could potentially ship to you. But oftentimes, you might be limited to what was on the shelves that day at that particular location. Oh, it's like the headquarters of Vive? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was here. Early pioneer of virtual reality, probably long forgotten by 2035, 2040, but they made one of the first luxury, more mass market headsets in the 2010s, late 2010s, early 2020s. Yeah, so there would be all kinds of stores. There would be clothing stores like Levi's or Banana Republic or The Gap that sold generally ready-to-wear clothes targeted at a mass audience. Not high fashion by any means, not even really fashionable. Just everyday clothes, sometimes with some fashion trends passed down to them from higher end places. And later, more foreign stores of this kind started coming in. So you would have also H&M or Uniqlo, but for a long time it was more just American brands, or maybe British, I'm not sure. So like American Eagle, Tommy Hilfiger, Urban Outfitters, some very mall specific brands also, like Hot Topic. There's it was grinding a lot, kind of a mall goth brand that was iconic in suburban teenage culture. Little places where you could get a cheap piercing or a temporary tattoo, some 22 karat gold jewelry, places like Claire's or something. Little bookstores like the one that I pointed out, kind of not tiny, like kind of like an airport-sized bookstore that would have your romance bestsellers and your nonfiction New York Times list and crossword and Sudoku and maybe some young adult stuff and some classics and cheap tacky editions, or like tacky because they were trying to appear to be more luxury than they were. Some basic arts and crafts supplies, postcards, greeting cards. Then there was often also, in earlier days, like in the 80s and in the early 90s, there would be arcades where you would go and you would play, Street Fighter, or in earlier days like Asteroids or Breakout or Robotron 2084 or Crystal Castles or Tempest, 3000, all these kinds of arcade games. And by kind of the mid-90s, I would say that stuff really started dying off because the home consoles just supplanted it and made that business model not viable. It's back now to some degree, like in niche markets and in limited ways, like with Barcade, for example, but in the 2020s. But back then it was, there was not yet an appetite for these cabinets as nostalgia. There was no nostalgia appetite for that stuff yet, so it was just like the old lame way of doing things. And more expensive than just buying your kid a console one time and then letting them play the game. Although it took a while for the console developers to understand that, given the new context, you didn't need to make your game extremely hard because it didn't need to eat as many quarters as possible anymore. Yeah, so they would have, but I remember, I remember still going to malls that did have open arcades, and they would have, like, let's say the Terminator arcade cabinet. So one way that arcades tried to survive is that they tried to have more elaborate cabinets and like spectacular presentation for the games that the consoles couldn't match. So they would have like full-size replicas of an automatic machine gun for the Terminator cabinet, or they would have these molded, racing seat setups for the racing games that you would climb inside of, or like really intense maybe joystick controllers for with a lot of detail and a lot of force feedback for flying dogfighting games. That was one thing that the arcades had on home consoles, is kind of that extra realism, the force feedback, the uniqueness of the cabinet designs. And of course it was also a social space. So it was, when the consoles were first coming out in the 90s, there was no network play. So if you wanted to have it be a social experience, and it was also before the World Wide Web, so it was this really awkward time where you couldn't even really go into a forum online and chat with other people across the country who were playing, say, Mario level or whatever. You were just kind of playing it yourself, unless you had like one or two friends who were coming over to your house. Whereas at arcades, you would go and you would, you'd hang out, you'd flirt with the girls, you'd try to impress your buddies, all that jazz. Show you a little bit of what everything looks like as we turn around and keep going. There would often also be a movie multiplex. Oh yeah, speaking of that, there were always video game stores like Electronics Boutique and GameStop. There'd be a movie multiplex, so you could go and see the latest movies, and it would be like matinee screenings that were cheaper. They were popular. There were a lot of people going to see movies there. Huge groups of teenagers, but not only that, like lots of families bringing their kids, their parents, to movie nights on Fridays and Saturdays. Just droves and people going to see movies together. And that's something that's really died especially in the last 5 or 7 years with the pandemic. Even before with streaming, it was already really dying, but pandemic really killed this way of experiencing movies. so much of all of that. There was really a dicey period where that was going away, but it was not getting replaced by anything. Now there's more social life online, and maybe with VR there's more of a sense of presence and community, and a space that you can inhabit together that makes people feel like they are, actually hanging out together in real time, more so even than like a Discord chat or something. But there's Keanu, and then there's yoga. It's interesting storefront window display. Yeah, and okay, so one other thing that I haven't talked about is that that was huge part of it, was that there would always be, oh, sorry, I got distracted by this bookstore that looks legit. It's the half price bookstore. This place probably has some of a little better literary fiction, probably has some. They probably have a little big queer theory section, that kind of, gender studies, well, it's Berkeley, okay? So it's probably more theory, more radical politics stuff. And that's fine, why not? That stuff's important. So there would be a food court. And the food court, oh, how glorious. You can still find them. I mean, like in 2024, in Jersey City, for example, there's a mall that is moving towards moribund, I would say. Not quite moribund yet, but not very healthy. But they do have a lively food court. You ride up like 3 escalators to get up there. But there's Panda Express. Panda Express is a classic, food court standby. You get your orange chicken with the 2 sides, with the oily lo mein, with the big slivers of, what is it? There's some kind of crunchy green. Crunchy green is like a wholesome rapper name. This whole like Korean delicious beautiful sandwich in this little rectangular box thing trend, I'm feeling it. I'm on board with it. We need more of it. Korean food is not my favorite Asian food, but it is, I like it, and it is some of the most beautifully presented food, especially among fast food or relative fast food. Is just like the standard of presentation for a place in that price range is ridiculous by American standards anyway. Yeah, I guess this is some kind of major film and art center over here to the right. Yeah, I'm gonna look at it from the front as well, believe it or not. Yeah, I think I was here a few years ago. Maybe in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Not a bad place to go to college. Not a bad setting to do some learning in. You could do worse. All right, let's see at this art center. What is it called? It has got a ridiculous name. It is called Bampia. Really? Bampia? Bampi? Bampia maybe? Even worse? Atrocious. Who named this? Bamfa. Berkeley Archive and Museum of Performing and Fine Arts and Film Arts? I don't know, man. I don't know. Call the naming committee. Call the naming police. Call the name doctor. Call Lil Wayne. Bamfa. Sounds like a you can't go there sound effect in an open world extreme sports game. Bamf. Holy heck. Well, I'd be a lefty radical too if I was feeling so chill from all these views. It's easy to be very tolerant in an atmosphere in such a pulchritudinous environment. I mean, I am kind of a lefty radical, I guess, but you know, I still like to make fun of them. It's very easy. Hypocrisy is everywhere. I want to show you a bird. Now you might think that this bird is unremarkable and you've seen many birds like him before, like her, but you'd be mistaken. This bird is special. You gotta just look closely. Keep looking closely until you understand that the bird is special. This is the way of all looking. Kind of wish I was back in college. Just a very innocent and exciting time. I mean, not for me personally. I hated my college experience, but I think for a lot of people it's really nice. I didn't hate everything about my college experience. Just like 80 to 85% of it. I forget if I applied here. I think I did. I'm sure I got in if I did. Their standards are not very high. I mean, they're high, but they're not high by my standards. Show you this life sciences building a little bit more, because they got cool crab reliefs. They got crab, they got a what looks to be an iguana, maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know the names of animals, man. Psychology is one pillar of the life sciences. I wonder what the other one is. Psychology? I would have thought it would be biology and chemistry, no? Maybe that's what they mean within the life sciences, and then on the flanks are like psychology and anthropology, or psychology and sociology or something. I don't know. What's the other side say? Let's see. Biochemistry. Oh. Okay, so they don't. So, really? They put psychology equal to biochemistry? Actually, even above biochemistry? Because biochemistry is biology and chemistry together. It only gets one display area, and then psychology gets its own whole separate section. That's surprising. Seems wrong to me, but I'm not a life scientist or a psychologist. Absolutely. I wonder how my battery's doing. Oh, I guess it's 10 o'clock already. I guess I should hustle a little bit. 30% battery. Okay. Well, that was kind of underwhelming. I was hoping to get a more of a vista, having climbed those stairs, but I guess it makes sense given that we're moving back into the mountains going this way. I'm gonna climb those and then I'm gonna head back down, and I'm going to keep moving south because I need to get to Oakland by noon, or but even a ways into Oakland, so we're probably gonna get to do a little jogging, which is excellent. Okay, staircase, slippery, careful. Oh my god, I keep being deterred in my efforts to turn it around. Thwarted. Not deterred, thwarted. The buildings are so heterogeneous. It kind of holds together because like all the buildings are different from each other. So one. Okay, I guess I'll go forward a little bit. Check out the view though. Check out the view though. Huh? Not too bad. See, this person has the right idea. They're out here jogging in their jogging shorts. What an excellent behavior. Beautiful weather for jogging. Thank you. Proud parents, or maybe visiting alumni with their children. Here's the Philosophy Hall. Austere, understated, rigorous in its forms, like philosophy, or analytic philosophy anyway. Fuck continental philosophy, bro. I don't know which is which. I don't read philosophy. It's both too hard for me and pointless. I mean, I could do it if I tried. I believe in myself. I have a growth mindset. Boom, 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 boom. excellent to see more runners.